Come here. Today we have another camera smacketh downeth. Okay, we got the new DJI Osmo Pocket 3 and its new 1-inch sensor versus the Sony ZV-1 Mark II and its 1-inch sensor. And the reason we are comparing these are because both of these are under $1,000. They're both 1-inch sensor content creation cameras, and we need to talk about this. Let's get on with the meat potatoes. All right, y'all, let's talk pricing, okay? So I'm only talking about the pricing from the OEM's website. I know you can go on Temu and Amazon and get all of these bundles that might be cheaper with a bunch of third-party accessories, but I'm talking about the core products on the manufacturer's website. So this is Sony's website. This is the Sony ZV-1 Mark II, $899. I will tell you, because BH Photo is a trusted reseller of this channel, they do have this on sale for $799, but I'm not sure how long that's gonna last, but standard pricing, $899. If we go over to DJI's website, the Osmo Pocket 3, just the standard version is $519, and that comes with the camera, a protective cover, and a handle with a 1/4-inch thread on it. That's $519. If you want the creator combo, that comes with the Pocket 3, the DJI Mic 2 transmitter, the battery handle, the mini tripod. It also comes with some filters and stuff in there. That is $669. So those are the pricing and availability from both OEMs for both cameras. Okay, I got both cameras right here on the desk, and I want to talk, size, form factor, usability real quick. I have the Osmo Pocket 3 right here, and this is the case that even the standard combo comes with. If you pop this out, it has places for you to put filters on it also. Now these come with the creator combo if you want them, or you can buy them as additional accessories. There's a black pro mist filter and a wide angle attachment, which we'll go back to this and talk about this in a moment. But at the minimum, this is what you get with the Osmo Pocket, very small and compact. Now, I also brought this case, right? Because this comes with the creator combo, and inside of this, you can fit everything that comes with the creator combo. So the battery extension, the DJI Mic 2, all of the other stuff, ND filters, and it all zips up into this small little pouch right here, which is really, really cool. Now, the ZV-1 Mark II only comes by itself. So there's no fancy pouch unless you buy one separately for the ZV-1 Mark II. Now, the ZV-1 Mark II is heavier than the Osmo Pocket 3. This thing weighs 292 grams, where the Osmo Pocket 3 weighs 179 grams, so it is absolutely lighter. And here's a side-by-side comparison of what they look like next to each other. Now, obviously, the Osmo Pocket 3 has that snazzy gimbal right on top. And also, I do want to show you, when you turn on the ZV-1 Mark II, the camera does extend. This will give you an idea how much space this could possibly take up in a bag or whatever. But let's talk operation, usability, all that other good stuff. We'll start with the ZV-1 Mark II. So as you see, this is a typical standard camera design. It's got buttons that you can customize. It's got a flippy screen that you can use to rotate and get different angles. It is a touch screen, so you also use this to navigate through the menus. Now, I will say Sony does not have the most intuitive design, but there are a ton of options in here. You can also touch the screen to get to the option you want. And also, you can use the touchscreen to focus and take photos and all that other good stuff. The battery does pop out, and on the right-hand side, you do have 3 doors over here where you have a headphone jack, a USB-C port, and a micro HDMI port. On the top, you do have a triple cardioid pattern vlog microphone and a digital hot shoe to connect professional audio solutions. Okay, so there's the ZV-1 Mark II. The Osmo Pocket brings a whole different flavor. So this one has a 2-inch rotating screen that you can customize to do different things. Like, you can customize it to turn on and automatically go into hyperlapse mode, etc., etc. You can, go in and do all that stuff. And I do want to show you the interface because it is much simpler. So if we slide over from this way, you see you have your options on the screen. Really, really simple to use. If I tap on my options over here, I have, really simple, easy to use menu. Sliding down from the top is really simple. Going into the settings menu is really simple. So the Osmo Pocket is a much more friendly device to use, albeit not as feature rich as the ZV-1 Mark II's menu. Now, looking at the rest of the device, we got that snazzy 3-axis gimbal right here on top that can flip and do tracking and all that stuff for you. It does have 1, 2, 3 microphones built into it, a USB-C port built on the bottom, and right here is where your SD card would go. So a much simpler device to use and operate and all that other good stuff. Now, let's get on to image quality and sensor, because I know that's what y'all really here for. So let's get it. It's about to get real nerdy, y'all. Hope y'all ready. We need to talk about optics, frame rates, resolutions, all that stuff, because it's important. Start with the Sony ZV-1 Mark II. So this is a 20 megapixel 1-inch CMOS sensor paired with a zoom lens that goes from 18 to 50 millimeter full frame equivalent, with the aperture that's variable from f1.8 to f4. Of course, it closes down as you zoom in, and you can stop down even further if you want to. Okay, now let's start with photography, because this is the strength of the Sony ZV-1 Mark II. Because it's a stack sensor, it can shoot up to 24 frames per second in photos. Also, when it comes to shutter speeds, it can shoot 1/32,000th of a second in photo and up to 1/12,800th of a second in video. Of course, in photo, you could do JPEG, you could do RAW, you could pick through different aspect ratios. So the ZV-1 Mark II is a really, really good little action sports camera. Well, we also need to talk about video, where it doesn't fare so well. So for video, it can only shoot up to 4K 30 frames per second in 8-bit. Okay, now of course, if you drop down to 1080p, higher frame rates are available, but yeah, the maximum for 4K is 8-bit, and it only shoots in horizontal 16:9. Now of course, you do have your HLG and S-Log3 and all that good stuff built into it, but again, only 8-bit footage in 16:9. Now let's move on to the Osmo Pocket 3. Okay, so the Osmo Pocket 3 has a 1-inch sensor also, and it's a traditional CMOS sensor at 9.4 megapixels paired with a 20 millimeter fixed focal length, also fixed aperture f2 equivalent lens on here. Now for photos, it can do JPEG and RAW, but it can only take one photo at a time at 9.4 megapixels. For video, however, this is where the Osmo Pocket really gets crazy, because it can shoot up to 4K 120 frames per second. Okay, that also means you could do 4K 24, 4K 30, 4K 60, everything in between in vertical and horizontal modes. So this is the strength of the Osmo Pocket 3. It can shoot 9:16 or 16:9 or 1:1 in video. So the ZV-1 Mark II could do 1:1 in photo, but not video. The Osmo Pocket 3 could do 1:1 in video. Now maximum resolution in horizontal mode is 4K. If you flip over to vertical, it's 3K, so keep that in mind. Okay, now the Osmo Pocket 3 also has another huge W, and that is the fact that it can shoot in 10-bit, which is no contest. It also has D-Log-M, has an HDR profile. The maximum shutter speed in photo and video is 1/8000th of a second. Now, when it comes to ISO, the maximum ISO is 6400. However, there is a low light mode that allows you to go all the way up to 16,000, and it does some other wizardry to make the image super clean. So for video, the Osmo Pocket 3 is the clear winner. Okay, so who gets the W here then? Well, the ZV-1 Mark II is clearly the more superior camera. I don't even know if that's correct terminology when it comes to photography. Okay, it's decently capable for video, but the Osmo Pocket 3 really wipes the floor with it when it comes to video capability, but not so much for photography. I suspect that most people watching this video are really looking at these two cameras from a content creator, filmmaking standpoint. So if that's you, Osmo Pocket is definitely the winner. If you are focused on more photography and maybe just need some okay features when it comes to video, then the ZV-1 Mark II may pique your interest. Now for this part, I tried to keep everything as simple as possible and automatic right out the camera to try to make it simple. Okay, obviously there's subtle differences in focal length, stabilization, etc., but in every single clip, you can pretty much see that the Pocket 3 handles the situation better. If you take a look at these, it preserves more information in the highlights in the sky, the colors are more vibrant, and it also protects shadow information a whole lot better than the ZV-1 Mark II does. Now remember, it is 8-bit versus 10-bit. Also remember that you can switch these to log profiles and color grade it yourself if you want to. And also remember that the Pocket 3 has the ability to customize how much noise reduction and sharpening are being applied in camera. But with all those things being said, personally, I think that the Osmo Pocket looks better in every single clip. Right out the camera, you be the judge. Anyways, let's talk about low light performance. ISO 1600 is coming up right here. These are pretty evenly matched. Both of them are clean. No real complaints on either. In the second clip, you'll be able to see on the letters on the building, the Osmo Pocket protects the highlights in those letters better, and doesn't crush the shadows as much. In this next clip coming up, ISO 6400, although you might not be able to see it on the screen, the building in the back, the letters are more defined with less noise. In these two clips right here, I had to switch the low light mode on the Pocket 3, but this is 12,800 and 16,000 versus the Sony ZV-1's 12,800, and in both, the Pocket 3 retains more detail with less noise. So with that being said, based off of these samples right here, the Osmo Pocket wins in both daylight and low light. It's a beautiful fall day, wouldn't you agree? Okay, let's talk about ND filters. The ZV-1 Mark II has a built-in 3-stop ND, super clutch, right? I think the only issue is because usually outside you need more than 3 stops, especially at f1.8. It's just not dark enough, and there's no easy way to add more ND without using a third-party solution and all that other good stuff. Where the Osmo Pocket uses magnetic NDs, right? And all they do is snap right on the front, so you just take them on and off as you want to and make it as dark as you want to, even if it's more than 3 stops. The next thing I want to talk about is microphones, okay? Because this is where they differ a whole lot. Ooh, my shoulder's on fire. We're gonna have to go down here for 1 second. All right, so the ZV-1 Mark II and the Osmo Pocket 3 both have built-in microphones, several of them, right? So that means that even if you're in a situation where you didn't bring a microphone, you can still get high quality audio out of both of these, right? Now you can also pick directionality because both of them have several microphones built into it. So you could go like front, back, stereoscopic, all that other good stuff. Now, if you want to plug up external microphones, the ZV-1 Mark II does have Sony's external MI shoe on there. I think that's what it's called. And basically you can plug up Sony's electronic mics. It also has a 3.5 millimeter microphone input for other types of microphones. Well, the Osmo Pocket does things a little bit differently. So first of all, it does have USB-C, which means you can plug up USB-C microphones like the DJI mic, the original ones, and you can use a USB-C to 3.5 millimeter adapter if you wanted to hook up like a shotgun mic or any other type of microphone. But built into the Osmo Pocket 3 is a receiver for the DJI Mic 2 transmitter. And let me tell you, this works out so well. I gotta go down here again because my shoulders are on fire, but this works out so well because all you do is turn them on and they sync right up. And you got high quality audio anywhere that you put the DJI Mic 2 transmitter. On top of that, the DJI Mic 2 transmitter has 32-bit float built into it. And when you're using the Mic 2 transmitter, all of the DJI Mic 2 audio controls are inside the Osmo Pocket. So everything is controlled through the menu, which is super clutch. And the last thing that I want to talk about is stabilization. So right now, as you can see over here, I'm being tracked by the Osmo Pocket 3, not so much so on the Sony ZV-1. Now, some of Sony's cameras do have auto framing built into it, which will do similar to this by taking the digital crop of the frame and moving it around, but that results in, you know, lower image quality. With that being said, this is what the stabilization looks like out of both cameras. So the ZV-1 has active stabilization, which is all electronic. And the problem with electronic is that since it's done with software, it really depends on how clean the video feed is. If it's not a clean feed, you won't get good stabilization. I gotta go back down here again because my shoulders are on fire. The Osmo Pocket 3 has a mechanical gimbal. Why am I so out of breath right now? And a mechanical gimbal will always be better. And I say always, like right now in our current level of technology, than electronic stabilization, because it's not dependent on how clean is the video feed. But because it's a mechanical gimbal, it could also stabilize me in any situation. And it could do cool things like tracking, and this happens automatically. Now, if I want to do, you know, a different type of tracking where it's not looking for me, but maybe I want to track something else in the frame, there's an option in the menu called dynamic framing, where you could just click on the screen on anything else that you wanted to track, and it'll track it wherever it is. So, also with a gimbal, you got more possibilities. So for example, both cameras have a time-lapse option built into it, but because the Osmo Pocket has a gimbal on top, we could do motion time-lapse. So I can customize waypoints that the Osmo Pocket will follow while creating a time-lapse. It also gives us the possibility of creating hyperlapses right in camera with the Osmo Pocket 3. Can't do that with the ZV-1 Mark II. So when it comes to stabilization, gimbal wins every single time over electronic. And you know, it just is what it is. But I got more to talk about, y'all. Come on, my shoulder's on fire. I hate when the last sip of coffee is gone. Anyways, we need to talk about battery life and charge. Starting with the ZV-1 Mark II. Now this uses the same batteries that the ZV-1 used, that the other RX cameras use, and I want to show it to you real quick. It is tiny. Okay, it's a tiny battery. So with that, you're not gonna get a whole lot of juice out this thing. You could get about 50 minutes, give or take a few minutes, filming in 4K 30 with that battery. So it does not last a really long time. Now the benefit is they're hot swappable, so you could be out in the field and literally just pop a fresh one in there, you ready to roll. And you could charge it with USB-C. So, you know, the battery life is what it is with the ZV-1 Mark II. Let's talk about the Osmo Pocket 3. Although these batteries are not hot swappable, so you cannot remove it, first of all, they last longer. They will last you about an hour and 20 minutes filming in 4K 30, give or take. I will tell you, even just filming this video, there were times where the ZV-1, I had to swap the battery where I still had over half of the battery left on the Osmo Pocket. The Osmo Pocket also charges way faster. So the Osmo Pocket can fast charge. As long as you're using a charger that can put out enough juice, it can go from 0 to 80% in 18 minutes or 0 to 100% in about 32 minutes. So it charges way faster and the battery lasts longer. Also, if you get the creator combo or you can purchase this separately, there's this battery extension handle that you really just plug right into the bottom of the Osmo Pocket, and this supplies the Osmo Pocket with about 60% more power than it has internally. Okay, so this also doubles as a handle, and it has a USB-C port on the back of it. Is it in focus? Okay, if it's not, I'm sorry. And it has a 1/4 mount on the bottom. So overall, when it comes to battery and charging, the W, I feel like, goes to the Osmo Pocket. It charges way faster, it lasts longer, and battery extension grip. There you go. I gotta make this part quick because I gotta go pick the kids up from school in a minute. Listen, let's talk about autofocus real quick. So the ZV-1 Mark II has phase detect autofocus, and it's really fast, it's really accurate. Honestly, it just doesn't get in your way. You don't even have to think about it on the ZV-1 Mark II. And it does have subject recognition of animals and also people. And it does give you a good level of control in the menu, different zones and all that other good stuff. So problem-free autofocus experience with the Sony ZV-1 Mark II. Now, the Osmo Pocket 3 now is also phase detect, which is really good for the Osmo Pocket series because the Pocket 2 did not have phase detect. So now, of course, we have the ability to track objects. Obviously, it tracks your face and all that stuff, but now there's an option for dynamic framing in the menu, which will allow you to do the same thing that you can do with the ZV-1 Mark II. You can touch anywhere on the screen to track anything on the screen. However, it does give you a little tricky trick on top of that, right? Because we have a gimbal, now I can select something anywhere on the screen and track it wherever it's at and still use the gimbal at the same time to get some cinematic creative moment, which you just can't do on the ZV-1 Mark II. So I will say, I think the ZV-1 Mark II is a bit snappier when it comes to autofocus. Not that the Osmo Pocket is slow by any means, but the ZV-1 definitely is a hair faster, and you do get more control, as I said, with the ZV-1, but you can be more creative with the Osmo Pocket. So you can't go wrong with either. Both of them are really good, and at the end of the day, the way I feel about autofocus, as long as it works and it don't get in my way and I don't have to think about it, then instant W, and both of these cameras do hit that benchmark. All right, I got one other thing that we need to talk about before we wrap this video up. And I know we've been talking for a long time. If you made it this far in the video, thank you. I just wanted to make sure I made this video as informative as possible for y'all. So we need to talk about web streaming and connectivity, right? So the ZV-1 and the Osmo Pocket, I switched those around by mistake. They both have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth built into it. They both can act as USB webcams if you plug them up via USB-C. But that's where the similarities kind of stop. Okay, so first of all, the ZV-1 Mark II can only web stream 720p 30 frames a second. The Osmo Pocket can do 1080p 30 frames a second, so much higher resolution. Also, because the Osmo Pocket has a gimbal on it, it can use Activetrack while you're live streaming to follow you around back and forth or wherever you go in the frame during a live stream. And you could do this in vertical or horizontal. On top of that, if you use the DJI Mic 2, the audio will feed from the Mic 2 directly through the Osmo Pocket and into whatever computer you're using. So theoretically, you could be using the Osmo Pocket as a desk camera for your live streaming, and if you get up and you walk around or whatever, the camera follows you, plus you still get clean audio from the wireless mic. So the other thing I want to talk about is connecting these cameras to their respective apps. So the Sony ZV-1 Mark II connects to the Sony Creators app, and the Osmo Pocket 3 connects to DJI's Mimo app. But I will tell you, connectivity wise, man, the ZV-1 is just not reliable. I mean, it connects. When it does connect, it works fine. But oftentimes you try to connect it, it won't connect, or it'll connect and then it'll disconnect. And then when you try to reconnect it, it doesn't know what you're talking about. There's times where it's just laggy and stuttery. And honestly, every time I connect the Osmo Pocket to the DJI Mimo app, it works flawlessly. I don't even have to do anything. It automatically recognizes that the Osmo Pocket is around. It'll connect to it and bam, everything works just fine. Now, you can also live stream to Facebook or other RTMP protocol solutions, R2D2 protocol, whatever it's called, using the DJI Mimo app. And lastly, there's an editor app recommended by DJI called Lightcut. It's an AI-based editor. It's got all these crazy features and all that stuff. You can use that with the Osmo Pocket 3. Connectivity-wise, I gotta give the W again to the Osmo Pocket 3. Now, let's get on with the conclusion. All right, I've thrown a whole lot of information at you in this video about the Pocket 3 and the ZV-1 Mark II. The question is, which one of these cameras should you buy with your hard-earned ducats? I think it's important to remember how these cameras are being marketed. Sony is marketing the ZV-1 Mark II as a vlogger, content creator camera, as is DJI. So it's very strange to me that the Sony's strongest suit is not content creation video, it's actually photography. So I'm gonna say this, if you're looking for a 1-inch sensor, photography first camera, although that is not Sony's intended demographic for who this camera should be for, the ZV-1 Mark II I feel like is a more capable camera when it comes to photography. But again, who's actually looking at one of these two cameras for photography? And that answer is likely nobody, because the manufacturers are advertising them as vlog cameras. So if we take that and we focus in on what these are supposed to be, vlogger content creation cameras, the Osmo Pocket wins this fight hands down. In just about every single category, I would say, probably except for autofocus, because I do feel like the ZV-1 Mark II has slightly better autofocus with more control, and also the ability to fine-tune things on the ZV-1 Mark II is, in my opinion, better than the Osmo Pocket 3. As an example, changing ISO steps, right? The ZV-1 Mark II has more ISO step adjustments than the Osmo Pocket 3 does. But those things are really the only two things I feel like the ZV-1 Mark II does better when it comes to video. Everything else, when it comes to image quality, bit rate, color depth, aspect ratios, frame rates, resolutions, the mechanical gimbal on top, the rotating screen, the audio options built into it, the smart features built into it, the tracking, battery life, charging, like literally everything on the Osmo Pocket 3 is better than the Sony ZV-1 Mark II when it comes to fulfilling what their purpose is supposed to be, vlogger content creation cameras. And it's cheaper. You can get the whole entire creator combo at $669 for way cheaper than you can the Sony ZV-1 at $899, $799 if you can catch it on sale, still cheaper with the Pocket 3. So in my opinion, if you're looking for a video content creation tool, Osmo Pocket 3, hands down, is the way to go. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So let me know what y'all think down in the comment section. I tried to make this video as fair as possible. I tried to cover as much as possible. Obviously, I might be wrong on a few things, you know, might have forgot a few things, but that's what happens when you don't script videos. So hope y'all enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. Until next time, I'm out of here. Tight shirt to your Warfield. Piece of chicken grease. I'm out of here. Peace.